cause I got something to prove.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another Marks & Crafts review. Today I'm going to be looking at the Figure-Eyes Amplified Beelzemon Digimon model kit. Now, Beelzemon is the final evolution, or I think the only evolution of Impmon in the third season of the anime Digimon Tamers. And I remember he had such an incredible story arc. I don't remember much of it, but I remember him being a very endearing character, and also one of the biggest glow-ups in Digimon and anime history, next to Angemon and Gatomon. He had an important story arc, and he came around the edgiest time in anime, and his design definitely reflects that. He's definitely inspired by a lot of the JRPGs at the time, which was Final Fantasy and its incredible spiky hair and leather, as well as a bunch of other factors. But basically he's the embodiment of sort of like the late 90s. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But he had a very striking design, a very iconic design, especially from Digimon having a very asymmetrical design. Was pretty cool. And yeah, at the time I thought he was a pretty amazing character. I don't remember all that much about him anymore. I do remember thinking that his bike was awesome and his cannons were cool, and just really digging the design. And it was just really interesting because there's Impmon turning into him and nobody liked Impmon. But yeah, Beelzemon had a very interesting design, and that is pretty faithfully recreated in this amplified kit. This is a Digimon amplified kit, so they have changed a few things, but not all that much. Like, it's not insane. It's might as well be like sort of a modern interpretation of the standard design, whereas like some of the other amplified kits are taking them in a completely different direction and making them fully mechanized, whereas this one's just sort of what a real grade would sort of do to a kit, where it makes things sharper or more detailed and things like that. But anyway, this is what we got out of it. As you can see, they've pretty much faithfully recreated his wild body proportions, where his arms are very long and his hands are massive. He's basically got yaoi hands, and if you don't know what that is, you can kind of look that up later. But basically he's got his crazy yaoi hand claws, all the leather and designs and things like that. This is mostly how it comes out of the box once it's all snapped together. I did some very slight detail work, like the skull and the little connector there, the belt. I painted those. They do come as stickers. There are a few instances where you need to paint it, but I didn't really do too much on this one, just very, very minor detail work. The color separation is pretty amazing, like the belt and buckles. All of those are separate pieces. These little bits are wires. The injection gold's okay. It's not the best, but it gets the job done. It looks fine from a distance. These little orange bits on the side of the helmet mask thing, those are meant to be stickers. I did paint them up. It looks really good on one side, and I kind of effed up the other side. The eyes are all stickers as well. And yeah, it's pretty good. The design and color separation is pretty amazing. A lot of the injection silver turned out pretty good. Not a big fan of the brown belt bits on the leg. They do look very, very plasticky. I wasn't too sure if I should have top coated it or anything like that, because the black felt like it should be a very high gloss sort of leathery design, but I sort of just left it as is, and it probably is better for the review, that it's sort of like semi-gloss thing. The bandana should definitely be matte. That is very, very plasticky. But yeah, generally it's a pretty decent kit right out of the box. You do get those wires, like I said. You do also get another wire for the tail, and it gives it a good range of motion. My wire, I made a few mistakes on it and cut it a little bit too short, so it does fall off every now and again, but that's probably not going to be the case for... there are these cool little spurs on the back of the feet that actually move. The spikes on the shoes make it hard to pose in, but is a cool aesthetic choice. And yeah, I like the asymmetry. The hands are solid. I like the ball jointed thumbs, although the ball joint is super visible when you look at the hands. And I guess if we're talking about ball joints and things like that, we might as well go through posability. Now, the head has pretty good range of motion, but it's blocked by this fluffy jacket bit, which is very Squall from Final Fantasy VIII. But yeah, it's sort of blocking a lot of that ball joint and motion, and I've just moved his neck more than it needed to. There we go. Just needed to line up the zipper. The arms can move out that far. You can move this shoulder bit, but it doesn't give you any extra movement. They are on a peg, so you can just move it all the way around. There's a hinge joint at the arm. You can rotate the arm, and there's another hinge joint in there, so you can get a pretty good bend out of that. And you can also just bend it like that. Depends on what you want. The hands have got a rotating hinge joint, and you can just spin them around. There's also really nice sculpted in detail in the hands. For the body, there's not a whole lot of motion. It looked like there would be more, but because of the way it's structured, you can't get all that much out of it. It's something with the multi-layered design. The legs can move sort of out that far, but they can drop, so you can get a little bit more out of them, so that's pretty good. Get a full spread, so that's pretty cool. Pop them back in. They can go up that far and back that far. There's a double bend at the knees, but the gap looks a bit funky and looks really weird from front on. The feet can rotate just a little bit and can move up and down. You can't get the best dynamic poses out of this unless you put it airborne, which is a bit of a shame. I wish it had more, because a lot of the other like leg motion, things like that, makes it seem like you can get a lot, but it's all brought down by the hinge joint. Oh, well, not the hinge joint, the swivel at the foot. And then at the back you can move the tail, you can rotate these little things from ball joints. And yeah, that's pretty much it for posing. Here's a very sharp kit, which makes it a little bit hard to handle some of the bits, especially on the back of his head, and especially during assembly for the back of his head. It's a bit of a pain. In terms of accessories, Beelzemon also comes with these two double-barreled sawed-off shotguns. The black handles, like they all come molded in the same color. The black handles I just quickly did with a Gundam marker, which is why you can see that the paint job's a bit inconsistent, but from a distance it's perfectly fine, especially when he's holding them. You also get these two adapters, which I'll show you what they do in a second. And you also get this stand adapter, which if you unplug his tail, you can slot this in and then connect the tail back in, and then that'll work with most Bandai stands. Unfortunately, I don't have a Bandai stand on hand. They're all in use, so I'm not going to be using it today, unfortunately. I've only got the Kotobukiya flying base, which doesn't have a gap for them. And then the final accessory are these trigger hands, which you slot the guns into when you're posing them. And that's all he comes with. Now, the cool thing about this figure is that he's got some weapon storage, which adds to his whole general aesthetic. So basically you take one of these little adapters and you plug it into the holes on the side, and you get one of the guns, and you find where the hole is on the side, and you just slot it in. Although, it should probably be the other way. Slap it on the side there, and you can do the same on the other side, or you can choose to put one on his back. And the way that works is you choose this little, you see this little peg on the top of the gun. You just pop that in there, and there we go. It's all set up. Yeah, I think you're meant to cover it with the wires to make it seem like it's sort of locked on his back. But yeah, there's a little bit of weapon storage, and allows for some cool little poses of him getting his weapons ready. So you can get some pretty good standard standing poses out of him, some sort of good ready poses and things like that, and it is nice to have accessory storage on the figure. Yeah, he's pretty good. Aesthetically, he's absolutely fantastic. Posing wise, I feel like he's only brought down by the ankle pivot thing, because I'm going to quickly try and chuck him in a couple poses and you'll see how limited he is, unfortunately. So, slight addendum to what I said before, you can actually get more movement out of the feet. I didn't realize. You just need to be a little bit creative with how you adjust the hinge and ball, and you can actually get a pretty good ankle pivot out of him. So you can get pretty good dynamic poses. So yeah, he is actually a really solid figure then. I wish he came with a couple more accessories like massive wings, or his giant cannon, because I'm pretty sure he's got a different gun, or some effect pieces to go with the guns that he's already got, or a little bit of extra color separation on his guns, and maybe a little bit on his legs. But generally, fantastic kit. Looks great, and you can get some really good poses out of him. The detail work is just fantastic. The amplified kits, I know that some people don't really like them. I think that it's a fantastic way to update a lot of the designs, and the way that they've done Beelzemon makes me hopeful for other sort of humanoid kits, because so far it's been like heavy mecha redesigns of characters, whereas this one is still very, very humanoid and not super mecha. It's just more high detail. So there's hope for the rest of the franchise. So we'll see what they do next, because we've got Alphamon on the way, and we've already had Batman, which was a cool design. Excuse me. And I believe that they're tackling other franchises next, so we'll see what they do. Hopefully they won't abandon Digimon just yet. I think that there's still a lot more that can be done, but so far this is just another great addition to the already expanding library. Next we'll do size comparison. Here he is next to the Figure-Ice standard Metal Garurumon. As you can see, he stands way above it, but also Metal Garurumon's pretty small and lying down. And here he is next to the amplified Batman Figure-Ice kit. And you can see how different two kits in the same line can look, and from two different franchises. And again, let me know if you want to see the Batman review. It's a pretty fun kit. Not massive on accessories, but pretty solid. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about him. He's a really solid amplified kit. You can get pretty good poses out of him, which I didn't think you could. It's got nice weapon storage, pretty good color separation and color out of the box. Not a whole lot that you need to do to him. Pretty simple build and a pretty enjoyable build. And yeah, if you're a fan of Digimon, definitely pick him up. If you really like sort of some unique designs for your Gunpla collection or model kit collection, he's a pretty good choice as well. And if you just really like 90s edge, absolutely pick him up. But yeah, solid kit overall, and I'm happy to add him to the collection. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you all next time.